good move to avoid this, even though I think Bryce will be great. But right now, we're right up there, with Max Scherzer, and we have a lot of big contracts, and the future, and Juan Soto, and all that sort of stuff. So it's definitely. It's going to be an interesting thing. Obviously, he'll get booed terribly. I mean, the fans are in a crazy uproar, but it's definitely an interesting situation, because I'm kind of happy that he moved on. I'm mad that it's to the Phillies, mostly because I was a Phillies fan for so long before I was a Nationals fan, and then when Jason became a National, I became a Nationals fan. And it just pains me to now know that I renounced that fandom, and now they got who had been one of my favorite players up until about a year ago, when I started to realize that I didn't think that he was going to come back, or he was going to ask for too much. And ultimately he took less per year, but he wanted that longer contract. So I thought that the deal that the Nationals offered to him at $300 million, was the reported offer for 10 years, is good. But if he truly valued 13 years over 10 years, 13 years at 30 per, that's a steep number. I don't know if they could afford to spend another $90 million on the back end of that deal.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the numbers, the Nats offered him more. Obviously, he didn't want to be here. I mean, I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was the number of years the Nats didn't want to agree to, or it was, just the fact that he needed a change of scenery. He obviously wants to be there because he had other teams courting him. He had other teams trying to get at him, and he, stuck with the Phillies, even though there were rumors of San Diego, and a couple of teams flying out to Vegas trying to negotiate with him. And even, with San Diego signing Machado, the fact they were trying to still get him, that would be crazy if they'd have been able to pull that off.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just kind of happy that the Nationals are just trusting in this process and just believing in their prospects. And, we have really crafted a great team up and down the roster. As long as we stay healthy this year, which is obviously a big thing with such a long season in baseball, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with this team, because I think our pitching is much better than Philadelphia. I think straight through our lineup, we're really good. We got some really good pickups this year, and I just think that we're a good, balanced team. I guess the big question, obviously, is who is the face of the franchise now, which obviously in my mind goes to Max Scherzer, because he has the biggest contract, but who's going to be the face of it going forward? Because, Max signed that, I was looking at it the other day, is $210 million 7-year contract, but he's already worked through a lot of that contract. And who's going to be the face of the franchise in the future? I'm hoping it's Juan Soto. I hope he has a great follow-up year. But obviously Trey Turner, and it'll just be interesting to see who sort of is the future of the franchise. I mean, Ryan Zimmerman will always be the face of the franchise, but we need one for the future too.
Well, I feel that Juan Soto is definitely going to be that guy. That's why I wasn't really, tripping with the whole Bryce situation, with the way Soto came up, 19 years old, playing the way that he did, even contending for the Rookie of the Year, which I felt it should have been co-Rookie of the Year, but because Acuna was on the, division-winning Atlanta Braves that no one, expected them to win, I feel that gave him the edge. So, that's why I'm not really concerned about Bryce rolling, because this team is still loaded, this team is still stacked, and they made some quality moves in the offseason that's going to make this team better. And even, say with Bryce gone, this team is more talented with him gone than it was with him here, as in last year. So I know you got to get ready to get out of here, Robbie. I see we got our special guest on the line. So any parting shots before you get out of here?
Yeah, sounds good. Well, I'm really excited for this show. I'm going to definitely check it out. I got to go to sleep early because I have to wake up at 5 in the morning to see if it snowed enough to call it, because Montgomery County is doing something weird today. But I really appreciate the opportunity to talk baseball and chop it up with you. I always love talking about it, and we'll definitely bring it onto the show more, starting in the upcoming weeks. And we definitely have a very exciting show next Monday, as we always do. And so it's always fun talking a different sport. We haven't talked much baseball yet, but obviously this was such big news that we figured a special had to be had. So I thank the other Jason Terrell for having us on Jet Radio and being syndicated. And I've never been on a show with him, but I'm going to pass the torch to both of you guys and hope that you guys have a wonderful rest of the podcast.
All right, Robbie, appreciate it. You have a good night. Tell little Zach I'll holler at him soon, and I'll talk to you later on, bro.
Sounds good. Have a good night.
All right. As always, y'all know who Robbie G is, co-host as always. Appreciate his insight and the knowledge that he dropped in a limited time. And on that note, I'm going to bring in the man of the hour, as I introduced him earlier, the owner of Jet Radio, who syndicates True Radio Network out there in West Virginia. He also has his own sports show, Talking Daily, for 2 hours, talking any and everything sports. Bring on Jason Terrell. How you doing tonight, good sir, a.k.a. JLegend?
I'm good, man. How you doing today, man?
Man, I'm doing all right. Just chilling in the lab. I was just going to lay low tonight, but with all of this, breaking Bryce Harper news and seeing the reaction of Nats fans, I feel we had to do a show talking about this because, it's hilarious getting the point of view of some of the fans, the way they feel about it. And I try to break it down to them and then, give it to them to understand. They try to look at it both sides, but some of them are stuck in their ways, man.
I understand. It's funny how we came from 2010, the amateur draft in June, to him going to college in Southern Nevada, to basically 9 years later, $330 million richer.
That's the MLB, man. That's the MLB. That's what I was saying a little bit earlier before you came on. I wish I'd have stuck with baseball and left football alone with some of these contracts these guys getting. I bring up all the time Bobby Bonilla. Every year on July 4th, he gets $1 million from the Mets up until like 2035. That man hasn't played baseball since like the early 2000s. And because of the contract that he signed, he gets $1 million every year until like 2035 or something like that.
Guys like that make the sport of baseball, I guess, it's not even to say that it's unwatchable, because it is hard to sit down and watch a 9-inning game of baseball, especially in those 0-0 games where there's no offense going on. Then for the Phillies, for what really kills me about the Nationals is they knew this was coming a couple of years ago. They knew this was coming. And looking at their active roster with the guys that they have to replace, there's no replacing a Bryce Harper. He's a extraordinary type of talent.
Well, I mean, as I was saying earlier, I'm not really, with Bryce, yeah, that he, you saw what his potential was when he got the MVP a few years back. But with this team having Juan Soto and bringing him up and getting his stuff situated, I think that was them preparing for this, because you can still build a team around Juan Soto. And, I'm not mad at Bryce. I loved him being here. I'm still going to be a fan of his, except for when he plays the Nats. But, I really understand the move. I don't understand it going to Philly. I understand him testing free agency and leaving, here, because I've always said when Jason Worth didn't make the team, and, that was like his big brother. That was the guy that was here that helped him find his way in the majors on the way to that MVP. And I'm not saying that's the reason why he wanted to leave, but you can tell that last season it wasn't the same for him. And I think it became more of a business to him. It wasn't as more of a joy for the game as in the love that he had before, because he had, that guy there that could, bridge the gap. Now that he's gone, now he's like, okay, I realize that, it's a business. I might like the folks that's here, but it might be something better for me out there. So, him testing the market and doing that, cool. But that freed up money for the Nats to go get, the top-rated free agent pitcher, Corbin, from out of Arizona. And they improved their bullpen. And hopefully they won't have the same injury issues that they had last year. And, Dave Martinez, I'm not a fan of his, but I'm hoping that he matures as a coach, as a manager, and does better than he did last year.
Yeah, I think the Nationals will be good in the outfield. I mean, they got, like you said, they got Soto. They still got Stevenson, Eaton, Taylor. So they got Robles. So they got guys that are interchangeable with what they just lost. I do think Soto's bat will become better. They're young in the outfield too. They're young. I would say Eaton is the oldest person in the outfield. Eaton is going on 31 years old. Or he is 31 years old. So and you need that veteran leadership, even in baseball. Those veteran leaders that have been there, like a Zimmerman, like you said, and Rendon, and Matt Scherzer, he's played in several big time games. So I think everybody in Washington needs to calm down. The Nationals will be fine, and really they saved themselves a lot of drama. When you pay a player $330 million, that limits you on what you can do as an organization to go out and bring in other, not say big free agents, but just any other type of free agents that might want a little change. Once you're coming out of your pocket for over $30 million a year for one player, it kind of restricts you from the things that you can and can't do as an organization.
Exactly, and that's what I've been, trying to explain to folks that, a lot of people are upset because, the team drafted them and homegrown talent, DC fans hate to see players that they drafted go elsewhere and be successful. I hate that also. But I can understand if the cupboard was bare and there wasn't, other talent on this roster. This team is in a position to, make some things happen. Last year they got hit with the injury bug big time, even with the talented roster along with a rookie manager. It just didn't turn out well. So all you can do is, look forward. This team has plenty of talent. As Robbie mentioned, you got Trey Turner, you got Anthony Rendon, you still got Ryan Zimmerman at first. You got, like you said, the youth in the outfield. It's just, this team is poised to make a run. They just have to put it all together.
I totally agree with you. I see that the Nationals dropped their game today, 13-5 against the world champs. So I'm really interested to see how the pitching staff comes together this year because they've got names, and names aren't enough to get you there. So I wonder if they're going to go out and try to land another left-handed arm, because I see they got a lot of right-handed arms. I think they need another lefty, especially a starting one, and definitely one in the bullpen.
Yeah, I love having those lefties, and Gio, he got traded out last year, and I was always a Gio fan, but they had to do what they had to do. But looking at the roster now, at the pitchers, with you already know Mad Max and Steven Strasburg, then the Corbin signing, so that's your top three right there. Then you still got Coda Glover, Eric Fetty, Jeremy Hellickson, who just re-signed the deal. He could be your number 4, number 5. You got Joe Ross coming back. They signed Anibal Sanchez. He could be a legitimate number 3. He could be a number 1 or 2 on most teams. He'll be a 3 or 4 here. So, it's all there for them to get it together. That was my pet peeve was with the way Martinez managed the pitchers. Like with Mad Max, he would, because of who he is, if he was in the groove, even if the game was, already out of hand, he know that Mad Max would want to go 9 and get the complete game and putting that extra stress on his arm early instead of pulling him out and let the bullpen do their thing. I think that's what led to some of the issues, that he was leaning on the starters too much, and the bullpen guys didn't get enough live game action. And when they came in pressure situations, they folded because they weren't prepared to go out there and do what they had to do. And Martinez would stick too long with the starters, trying to, let them get their numbers or whatever.
I'm sure one thing that actually burns up national fans is that he went to a team inside the NL East. Yeah. The NL East is I would say it's a predominantly weak league. You got the Braves and the Marlins. The Marlins can't get right. The Mets are the Mets. They are what they are. I really see only the Phillies and the Nationals competing in this. And for all the National fans, Bryce Harper is not going to put put the Phillies over the top. They have a decent infield, but the outfield isn't what it seems to be. So I really predict that I think the Nationals will win the NL East by at least 15 games this year.
Well, I definitely agree on that, but you can't sleep on Atlanta. You know, they won the division. They definitely progressed faster than anyone expected, because I definitely didn't even see them in the race, in the running for the division crown. So the division is getting better, but like you say, the Marlins are what they are. They just changed up and, got new ownership and, traded everything and got rid of a lot of folks. So there you can say they're in rebuilding. The Mets, I'll chalk that up to going back to the Matt Harvey situation when they decided to, make the push to go all in for the World Series and put the pressure on him coming off of Tommy John surgery. You see how his career and most of their pitching staff has went down the pipes the last few years when they had a strong four-man, rotation with strong pitchers, and now they're down to like one solid guy they can count on. But
I'm sorry, I lost it.
oh, it's all good. It happens all the time, bro. It happens all the time. So I didn't get a chance to let you plug your show. As I mentioned, this is Jason Terrell from the owner of Jet Radio out in West Virginia. He has his own sports show every day from 10 to 12. Let the folks know where they can find you at, Jason.
Yeah, you guys can find me, JLegend, Unfair Advantage, 10 a.m. every morning, Monday through Friday. We talk any and everything sports. It's streaming live on Facebook, and you can catch the show later on YouTube if you guys miss it. That's jetradio.live, www.jetradio.live, every morning.
Betty, I'm definitely trying to get on sometime. Man, my morning's so crazy. I got to remember to hit you up sometime when things slow down so I could call in and check y'all out there in West Virginia, see what y'all talking about. But you mentioned the NL East and, being one of the weaker divisions in baseball. How do you see this National League rounding out this year? I haven't really paid a lot of attention to a lot of the acquisitions, but the Central is always a tough division. The Giants out West always giving it a run to, trying to win it all. They've been doing it every other, seems like almost every other even year they win the damn World Series. So how do you think this National League is going to pan out this year?
Well, I'm surprised. I mean, I'm not surprised with what the Padres did going out and getting Machado. I don't think that it's such a powerful move that is going to elevate them to the top of that NL West. What I think what's slept on a lot is that the Dodgers have the number one farm system in the MLB, and they're always there. They're always right there. I think they're going to bring up this shortstop Smith from Single A. He's going to make a big impact on what the Dodgers are trying to do, and they'll be able to switch their shortstop to second base. They have interchangeable parts. I really like the Dodgers. I really like the Cubs. I know a lot of people are sleeping on the Cubs, but that pitching staff will definitely get them through that. I honestly think it's a three-team race in the National League, and I really believe that it's going to come down to the Cubs, the Dodgers, and the Nationals. I mean, I just don't see any other teams really elevating to a World Series play. And then when I think about those three teams that I just named, I do have to think about how they're going to match up against the Red Sox. I mean, because to me, it's either the Red Sox or the Astros. And if I had to bet on a 7-game series, I'd put my money on the Red Sox. So I really want to know how the team coming out of the National League is really going to fare against the Red Sox in Fenway in that cold weather in October. I think that's really big. I really just don't see a lot of action coming out of the National League. I see the Cubs. I like what I like the core. The Nationals have a young core, and they've been making all these moves. And people don't know, like, when you're a fan, you see certain type of activities, and you're like, oh, we just lost Bryce Harper. You may have lost Bryce Harper, but what you gained from losing him is so much better than just paying a superstar millions and millions of dollars. I mean, he is deserving of it. He did what he was supposed to do to earn his money. But now, like you said, it's a business. So a business and the Nationals offered him a big contract, we know, and they dodged a bullet. Because even in other sports, you see where Tom Brady has taken pay cuts, and they're always in that conversation. Or Tim Duncan in the NBA. He gave San Antonio a hometown discount for 15 years. He also has 5 championship rings because they were allowed to bring in these other pieces. So with the Nationals saving all of that $330 million, they'll be able to go out and get the pieces that are missing during the season that they know that they need.
Very true, very true. I want to go back to the Dodgers statement. I'm going to go ahead and go on the record. I'm a Dodger hater. You know, I don't like those guys. And the fact that Kershaw's already having some shoulder issues already in the first week of spring training, that doesn't give you, you know, some pause. I know they have a decent rotation, but, you know, he's the guy. You know, he's the one they bring in those Game 5 and Game 7s or Game 6s when they have to win. So does that concern you at all with him and already having his shoulder issues already, knowing the last few seasons of him having injuries, coming back late in the season, you know, in a, you know, pressure situation, having to perform? That doesn't give you pause about the Dodgers?
Not really, because Kershaw's record in the postseason isn't what you would expect it to be out of a player of his caliber. So I saw where they shut him down in the earlier training camp games. He came out and threw a little bit, and he said that he wasn't feeling right. Dave Roberts agreed with him. But when the coach agrees with you, the coach is just, oh, he's a superstar. He's not ready. I'm not really too concerned about the Dodgers have players everywhere, and I really just believe if they can find basically a pitcher. I know they still have Rich Hill. I think Rich Hill would be that guy for Kershaw. And I know Rich Hill's numbers don't really give you a true meaning of what he is. They also have Haru, and Kershaw is their number one. But I think that they'll be all right. They're so deep with pitchers. They even got Kenley Jensen. I mean, they're so stacked all up and down the board. I think that they'll be all right. But once they get into those late innings, Kershaw wouldn't be playing anyway. He rarely goes out and throws a complete game. I know that they also got Caleb Ferguson and Brock Stewart. So I think that they expected this out of Kershaw just because of his past. He's an injury-riddled player. So I think that they'll be all right. And I forgot to mention Joe Kelly as well. So I think the Dodgers, they've got about 10 pitchers that they can just throw out there as a starter.
Hey, that's some quality insights. I definitely didn't know all that. Appreciate that. But I just checked out the board, and I have a good friend on the line. We haven't had a chance to hook up online in a while, but if you listen to season 1 of Sports on the Hill podcast, you'd have heard my man Steve of the Bleed Blue Show. He covers all New York sports, Yankees, Giants, and everything. He's always on the move, going to the road games out there, look like he having a ball. I want to bring him in and get the American League perspective on, for one, the Bryce Harper going to Philly, and what does he see out of the American League this year with Boston winning it all. Steve, how you doing tonight, good sir?
Boss man, it's been a minute. What's going on, bro?
Ain't nothing, man. We decided to do a baseball special night with Bryce Harper and all the chaos he's caused in the NL East with him going to the Phillies. So I figured, why not bring on another great baseball guy to talk some baseball tonight?
Anybody knows my perspective. You already know I'm all about the fans first. And when that news happened, I could not help but follow what certain Philadelphia Philly fans are saying, and of course, your base and the Nationals, like, reaction. I don't know if this means it's going to be an instant rivalry for you guys. You guys play a million games a year against each other. That Philadelphia-DC rivalry, man, is just something unique in all sports. But now with the baseball thing, with Harper going up 25 to South Philadelphia, man, for some Powerball money, man. 13 years, that's bananas, dog. Yo, that's a lifetime contract, man. So, I just love to get y'all perspective on that, and I know follow your posts and get your opinion. But Philadelphia, I mean, they needed to get a good fish, and good for them, man. I guess you could say, I mean, mean? That's still a lot of money. I'm from an old school kind of cat, and that amount of money is still astronomical to me over that amount of years. Hey, Philadelphia wanted to make splash, and they're probably going to use that to other guys, and they made some nice additions, I think. David Robinson's on there from a Peter Andrew McCutcheon. They added some nice pieces just to make us, Atlanta is an up-and-coming team. I don't know how this is going to impact the Mets and the Nationals. So I'm going to just, for me, when it comes to sports, I'm going to just sit back and watch how this thing is going to play out on the field. But baseball actually sold the news today. Yeah.
I totally agree. We're getting a little bit of feedback. See if you can get in a little better area. You're getting a little running back and getting a little bit of feedback off there. But we also have Jason Terrell of Jet Radio on the line, giving his perspective also. He's a Yankees fan, Jason. What is your breakdown of this Yankees team? I would love to get your perspective, and I want to know what Steve think the Yankees are going to do this year with the progression that they made last year. But I want to get your perspective first, Jason. How do you see the Yankees going into this year?
I see that you've done your homework, knowing that I'm a Yankees fan. I mean, I'm a homer, so it's hard for me not to be that fan and fanatic when it comes to the Yankees. I really believe that the Yankees just don't have enough pitching right now to compete. I love their bats, obviously. They went out and spent the money on staying in. They have other players, Gregorius. And it's crazy because when you think baseball, it's like, oh, it's Yankees. But the Yankees, for real, they didn't take advantage of the Bryce Harper sweepstakes, and I could have brought another bat. And in baseball, in October, in late September, it's definitely not always. You hardly ever hear about the bats in the World Series. You definitely hear about the pitching that's going on in the World Series. I just don't think the Yankees have enough pitching. I don't think they can compete with Boston this year at all. So that's where we're at with the Yankees.
Steve, what do you have to say about the breakdown you get about the Yankees? Do you agree with that, or you feel like they might still, make a move and get some pitching in there or something if there's a way for them to do that?
I partially agree with my man. Thank you. His opinion. That's a narrative we've been saying for a minute on our podcast. But the issue, I believe, is starting pitching. Not necessarily the bullpen. The bullpen's fine. But starting pitching, if he meant by that, I definitely agree with it, because the Yankees, they have a pitching committee. Sometimes we need to go to a six-man rotation. We don't have a clear-cut ace. We have guys who have clear ace-like stuff, Severino, but he hasn't proven over a whole season. He had a hot first half last year, then kind of cooled off after the All-Star break. And then you have questionable guys. You got Patton, who came over from Seattle. You have Tanaka, who's up and down, and then you got the old man, Steve Azul. So I have an issue as far as start pitching, but bullpen, we're set with bullpen. But the Yankees, once you get into playoffs, you need elite start pitching, I believe. I'm not really a fan of all this, a guy out there 4 innings and then bring in your bullpen. I also agree that, to an extent, that with the Yankees, we had issues with timely hitting. We could hit 1 million home runs between May and August, but when it's time for timely hitting and clutch hitting in playoffs and moving guys over, we struggle with that, and that's how we got exposed versus Boston in Game 3 in particular. Starting pitching, I'm not high on it, and also timely hitting, we're swingers, but we'll see how this goes 2019. Man.
I'm interested to see how Aaron Boone does, too, another year with the Yankees, because I was kind of disappointed in some of the rotations that he had out there, some of the players, especially with the catching situation. He was quick to put Sanchez in, and then quick to relieve Sanchez if he couldn't get any hits. And then you turn to the other catcher, and he's not getting the job done either. So I think Aaron Boone needs to definitely figure out the rotations and the rosters that he's going to go with, and kind of stick with them for a little longer. I mean, it's a 162-game season, so.
Our catcher situation, you know what? It's really interesting because I like our depth at catcher. I like Kyle. I like Austin Roman in the backup role. Gary Sanchez had a very off year, and I think a lot of it was due to injury. Defensively, he's a liability. I think we all know that as Yankees fans, and you kind of sweep it under the rug, hoping hoping that the offense won't succeed defense. Last year it did not. Even though he had 14 homers before the All-Star break, but he was batting about 200 or below. His time of hitting was off. He had that nagging groin injury. I remember him getting that in the Tampa Bay game down in Tampa. So we're hoping as Yankee fans, I believe that Gary Sanchez could come back to him like he was in 2016. Oh no, 17. So he had an off year with the bat. Hopefully his bat returns. Defensively, I don't think he's going to do personally. I just think because he's a big guy, he's not as agile. He has terrible technique. But the Yankees were kind of quiet on that, hoping that his bat gets you back to 270, 280, hit about 30 home runs, driving about 110. We'll be cool with that. As long as if he does that, we'll live with his bad defense. Especially when we don't have to overpay for him right now, when he's not a huge contract. A lot of these guys, Judge, Gary Sanchez, Greg Bird, guys, and they haven't reached that deal yet. Like Stanton's and Harper's and Mike Trout. So we got them guys at a good rate right now. Hopefully we can try to cash sooner or later. But I don't like our chance. I'm with you. I still think Boston is Boston. I think they'll win the division anyway. So.
Yeah, I think my biggest problem with Gary Sanchez is that last year, out of 232 at bats, he's only batting a 186. He hit 18 home runs and he had 60 hits. So with the 53 RBIs, I feel like Sanchez he's still young. He's 26 years old, so he's still young. So he has more time to develop. But like you said, the Red Sox are just in another league right now compared to the Yankees. Right.
Yeah, that Red Sox, I actually...
These are advantages they're league hitting, man. They got beat hitting. They can hit for average. They can hit for power. The Yankees ain't got it.
Yeah, Boston is a good team. They're actually my AL team that I root for because they're just a complete team. But I know Brian Brennan of Team SportsOTHP gonna be really upset he missed this in-depth Yankees coverage because he would love to get this on the air because he always wants to talk Yankees when he gets on. So I got to let him know what he missed. But I want to switch it up a little bit and get back to this whole Bryce situation because a lot of the fans are upset, saying that, the team drafted him, why couldn't they re-sign him? Why would he go to a rival? And I've tried to explain to folks that, being loyal is cool, but sometimes being an athlete, being loyal can, not be a good thing. I always point out one of my favorite players, like Kevin Garnett. He was loyal to Minnesota for a long time, and he didn't get anything out of it. He got some big contracts, but until he left and went to Boston and, got his championship, he was stuck there. If he would have left earlier, who knows how many rings he would have had. So I've been trying to let folks know, these players sacrifice for their whole life trying to get to the big show. The owners are going to make their money. They want to test the market and see, and they're not really concerned about the fan, going from one team in the division or whatever. It's a business. It's like you said, Steve. So I'm going to go to you first. What is your, do you feel like, being loyal to a team is a good thing, but it can be a bad thing if you don't take and count everything that's going on? And then, Jason, you can answer after that, after Steve give his answer.
Okay. Today's day, get your money, man. And that's what it's about. It's a business. So, like you said, I totally agree. Owners are going to make their money. They're in the business of making money. Same with the players, man. You got to what's most for your own self and your family situation. As simple as that. So, if fans, we're loyal. Depending on how long you have a generation of fans who are loyal to teams in the era we grew up in, and you have fans that are loyal to players, and that's the fantasy aspect. So you have different aspects of fans. So I come from an era that I'm loyal to actual team. That's kind of what I'm bled in, and team goes. I root for the team on the front of the jersey, not the back. So I understand business aspect, and if you leave those parts of the emotions out of it, you can sleep better at night.
Well, I partially agree with you. For the most part, I do. I would say that this was totally a business move. And it was a business move for Bryce Harper, so that he needs to get his big contract. Every superstar deserves to get their big contract. I think that it's a little extra to give him 13 years. That's definitely a little extra. That's way more than he deserves. But And it's funny because all these athletes have families, friends that they have to take care of. We all know that. Even in the radio business, we know we have friends that got to get on the air or family that we have to take care of. So Bryce Harper, looking at it from his perspective, it was a total business move. I also think it was a business move for the Phillies because they haven't really been relevant since they went to the World Series. So bringing a big name to the park, obviously it'll sell tickets. They'll be on TV a lot more than they have been. I just think that I think it was a great move for both Bryce Harper and the Phillies business-wise. Now, baseball-wise, I think it's a terrible move for the Phillies, but that's just my humble radio show host opinion. But I think that I think the winner out of this whole thing is the Washington Nationals, and you'll see that as the years go on.
I definitely agree. That's what I've been trying to explain to some of the fans. You know, you got, like I said, you got Patrick Corbin, the #1 pitching free agent that was available. You got a young Juan Soto that was in the running for Rookie of the Year at 19 years old. You know, you improved your bullpen. You have, one of the up-and-coming shortstops, Trey Turner. You got one of the up-and-coming third baseman, and Anthony Rendon. You got a good farm system. You were able to put money into the team to make the team more talented than it was the previous season with Bryce Harper. So I don't understand, folks, I understand it, but going to the extent that they're going, I'm like, okay, you can boo him, but, now you hate him. I understand he's with the Phillies, but I don't even really consider the Phillies a threat because, like you said, it doesn't make them a complete team because they actually played a little bit over their head last year and, started to fall back to where they, would have failed because they started out hot and then fizzled out because of inexperience in pitching and some other things. So I'm not really concerned about the Phillies. That's why the 13 years is key to me because once they get right, then, yeah, they're going to be a legitimate contender. So that's going to be in the prime of his career. So we'll definitely see because that's, 19 meetings a year against the Phillies. So it's going to be real interesting to see how the NL East go out. And ironically, Citizens Bank Park is the place where he had, besides Nats Park, is where he has the most home runs, as being a role player in Philly. So he likes that stadium. So who knows what type of numbers he's going to put up. They keep on, building and continue to rebuild. And who knows what the NL East will look like in 3 to 4 years with Bryce up in Philly.
Yeah, I see where, and it's funny when everybody talks about the home runs, but there's not a big difference from what he's done all over the place with home runs and doubles. I see that he's got 110 home runs and doubles, and also that's out of Great American Ballpark, and it's out of City National. He's got 108 home runs and doubles. Now, one of the things that I'm really concerned about with Bryce Harper is he's not an extreme pull hitter, but he does pull the ball more than average. Last year, I think it was 42.3% pull rate, and that was above the 40.2% league average. And it's the second highest rate of Harper's career. Plus, behind the 45.4% that he put up during his MVP season, and that was in 2015. His numbers have gone down, actually, over the past couple of years compared to during that MVP season when everybody was so in love with Bryce Harper. But at 26, Harper is probably about to enter what are typically the most productive years of a player's career. His established ceiling is already so high, and his 2015 season average age was 22, so that was obviously historically excellent. And now he's moving into a ballpark that's not only hitter-friendly, but it also suits his particular skill set nicely.
Yeah, I can't do nothing but agree with you on that. Look like we got a couple of callers on the line. We rarely get callers that we don't know, so let's see what happens tonight. Let's see. Welcome to Sports on the Hill podcast. What do you want to talk about with this Major League Baseball tonight? Who am I speaking to?
Well, this is Bianchi. I'm calling from the Midwest and the South. And I was listening to the conversation about Harper. And I wish him all the luck. But, you got to realize in today's time, and I trained young baseball players, midget in high school. I have a grandson that's playing down at the flagship school in Louisiana, their travel team. But Major League Baseball is going to make sure that all teams in the league is somewhat successful. In other words, if you had 10 prospects in the Yankees camp, good ones, they're not going to let them all stay. They're going to distribute them players throughout the league, whereas you don't have, like they used to have in Pittsburgh when the stands was empty years ago. They want to have excitement that's going to draw crowds, and it's very important that it's like that. They have sort of a means to even things out, whereas the upper tier teams get the first choice at the new prospects that's coming in. But believe me, I don't think they were going to put Bryce Harper on the Yankees. I thought they were going to do just exactly what they've done, is see to it that he go to like a Philadelphia, which has a good potential because it's got the market. And they want Philadelphia to be able to have players be in contention that have the excitement that's going to draw the fans. And in essence, that's what's really needed in order for the sport to survive. I mean, do you guys kind of understand what I'm saying?
Definitely do. You have to, with the loose salary cap in the MLB, with the luxury tax and all the stuff that goes on, you do have to, kind of keep a level playing field. And, I mean, I didn't know exactly how deep you got into it, but that's very interesting. Jason, did you have any idea about that?
No, I have no clue about that right now.
Yeah, it's true. Another thing, when I played baseball, I'm African American, and we played baseball all day. And you would have to sit in the stands until your hour came where your team could get on the field and play the other team. It was just like that. But we work to do the best we can to try to get African Americans back into baseball, but it's very difficult because you got the competition from them two other sports, and it's just it's a struggle. But we have to keep doing it. RBI, revitalizing baseball in the inner city, does very well in some cities like Chicago with the Cubs sponsored and the White Sox sponsored teams. But there's a lot more work that needs to be done, fellas.
Yeah, I totally agree. That's something that's very key, getting these kids involved in activities, sports, after school stuff, so they won't be out here getting into the wrong things and keeping them active. And that's one thing that's missing. One of the key things is missing in our neighborhoods and in our society now, the YMCA, the Boys and Girls Club. I coach football at the Boys and Girls Club briefly, and unfortunately my schedule won't allow me to now, but it does make a big impact on these kids' lives, and who knows where they can go if you give them the right direction and the right tutelage to use their skills to their advantage.
Mm-hmm. But I really appreciate your program. You got some good remarks, comments, and observations coming from what you do, and keep on doing what you're doing.
I appreciate that, man. Make sure you call in some more, Tim, and appreciate you calling in, man. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
All right. Have a good night. All right.
That he brought up. It's funny that he brought up that the African Americans, the African American youth, aren't getting into the sport like they were. So I'm almost 40 now. So when I lived at home, it was basically mandatory that if you were a black kid growing up in Huntington, West Virginia, that you played baseball. I can literally think that in the league that I played in, especially because you could say it was in the hood a little bit, but it definitely gave us a chance, or it opened our eyes. Like, man, if we can't get on the football field or the basketball court, man, maybe we could play baseball. So it's definitely something that needs to be addressed in all of the urban communities or all of the black communities, because there's a lot of talented black baseball players that they just They just don't have the guidance or the right people around them to say, hey, man, maybe you'd be good at this.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. You know, some of these kids get involved. They don't say they don't make the majors, but they have a minor league career. That gets you out of, the hood. You're doing something that you want to do, and it gives you, opens your horizons to be different places and see different things. So, yeah, that's very true. I mean, unfortunately, most African Americans don't look at baseball as, something they can get into or play. And, honestly, most of the, Central American and South American folks, they do that every day. Like you say, how it used to be for you. I played baseball, but I wasn't there. I was more of a football guy. So when I did play baseball, it was, here and there. I was decent at it, but I never put the actual time into trying to learn the game. I just could hit the ball real far. That was about it. But that is something that's key, and that's something that will definitely help if we can start getting that back into the mindset of, there are other things besides football and basketball that you guys can do. Because, even with youth hockey, that's picking up in the African American community. So we're seeing the change in the demeanor and the thought process. So hopefully, we'll see, the resurgence, or it'll pick back up with baseball. But we got about 7 minutes left to the top of the hour. We have another contributor of Team Sports or prospective Team Sports OTHP member. If you tuned in Monday night during our Capitals trade deadline roundtable and results show, you heard Josh Kirby come on and give some of his insight. I'm going to go ahead and bring him on and get some of his insight and feelings about this Bryce Harper situation. Josh, how you doing tonight, good sir?
Carol, I'm doing well, man. I appreciate you having me on. I know it was sort of short notice, but I had a lot of opinions. It's sort of my thoughts on this Bryce Harper move, and I saw it, and I was like, I'm not surprised he's not with the Nationals, because first off, the Nationals over the course of the off season have been making a lot of new moves, and for the better. And I think the Nationals are just going to be a really solid team this year. That Matt Wieters is gone, but we brought in Yan Gomes and brought back Kurt Suzuki from NL East champion Atlanta. We have sort of a young outfield. We have Robles and we have Soto, and Soto's just going to grow into an amazing player. If you watched him last season, he was just unbelievable, and I think he's just going to have another stellar season. We have Trey Turner still, we have Rendon still, and I just think we just brought in pieces of the team that the Nats needed to improve on, and I just think one person doesn't make a team, and I think the Nationals are going to be fine. I mean, from me and Bryce Harper, I was a Bryce Harper fan. I wish him the best of luck, but I just don't see the Nats failing because of Bryce Harper going to another team.
I totally agree. Like I said, this team is loaded. They made some quality moves in the free agency, and I don't see anything holding this team back except for Martinez if he doesn't, get his act together with the managing department. As I mentioned earlier, I feel that his lack of experience and learning on the job is what, along with the injuries that the team had last year, was the reason why they didn't succeed. So all we can do is hope for a better, healthier team that doesn't go through all the injury issues that they had last year, and hopefully that Dave Martinez can learn on the job and improve on some of the things that he was lacking in. But Josh, I'll ask you real quick before I let you get out of here. What are your? We were talking about who do you? I know it's early, still spring training, but with some of the moves that have been made, what do you see? What teams do you see strong in the NL, and what teams do you see strong in the American League that will give us some go this year?
All right. Well, I do think the Phillies with Harper will improve. I'm not sure how well. They gave him a huge contract, I can't believe, but I'll talk more about that on my podcast. But I think the Phillies, they're going to improve. The Braves, I think they're up there too. So it's still pretty early, Carol, but I think the NL East is going to be a semi-tough division. Red Sox are going to be up there. And a bold prediction, I don't think the Dodgers are going to make it that far in the playoffs this year. And I think depending on how the Dodgers do this season, if they make it to the wild card or first round and get exited, I think Dave Roberts is done. And I don't think Dave Roberts is the answer for the Los Angeles Dodgers anymore by the way he handled the playoffs in the World Series and whatnot. And, and I think the Red Sox are going to do well. The Astros, they're looking pretty good so far. But, yeah, as you said before, it is still spring training, and it's still early. And with a 162-game regular season, you never know what's going to happen within the course of 162 games.
Very true, very true. Well, let the folks know where they can find you at, Josh, before I let you get out of here.
Yes, sir. I appreciate that, Carol. Once again, I'm with the Josh Kirby on Sports Podcast. You can find me Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Just search up the Josh Kirby on Sports Podcast. I'm also on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Play. We got up there. So we record basically every Tuesday or Wednesday, depending on. And actually, if you go back to my episode 28, I actually have I'm from Northern Virginia, like on the outskirts, like in Winchester and that whatnot, like Shenandoah Valley. So if you know the university, Shenandoah University, I actually interviewed Bill Morse. He played college ball at Shenandoah University and actually got drafted to the Washington Nationals. And he's currently down there with his brother, who played for Shenandoah as well, and he got drafted last year. So I interviewed him, and they're down at spring training. So if you want to catch a really good piece, make sure you find episode 28. It was about a 30-minute conversation about him and the pros and whatnot, and it's really interesting to listen to.
All right, appreciate it, man. Have a good night. Appreciate you taking the time to call in and give your insight, and we'll be talking to you soon, man.
Yeah, Carol, I appreciate it. You have a good night, sir.
All right, take it easy.
Carol, another thing about the whole, it's hard to imagine a world in which they committed $1/3 of $1 billion to him, still would have been able to land top free agents. Like, they wouldn't have been able to do what they did in the offseason. They were flexible to do the things that they did. Besides Corbin, the Nats also added Anibal Sanchez, Yan Gomez, Kurt Suzuki, second baseman Brian Dozier, relievers Kyle, and Rosenthal. And after an underwhelming season where they finished 82-80, a lot of things needed to be done. So I think Bryce Harper walking away was the best thing for the Nationals ever.
Yeah, I could agree with that sentiment. I'm more anxious to see because I love the NL for the defense and the pitching, so I want to see what his pitching staff is going to do because with Scherzer, Strasburg, Corbin, Sanchez, Ross, I mean, it's just deep, and I just want to know who's the 5-man rotation going to be because then you got bullpen help. You still got Jeremy Hellickson. He had a surprisingly decent season last year. I didn't expect much out of him, and it's just that's what I want to see because I'm a defensive guy when it comes to most sports and hockey, football, baseball. I like to see quality defense. So last year, for the first time in a long time with the Nats, we saw a lot of errors and a lot of miscues on the defensive side. So I want to see this team get back into the defensive mindset and turn the double plays and not making unforced errors. Well, that's tennis, but errors all the time and bad throws and miscommunications. That plagued the team more than injuries last year.
Even though they got rid of Harper, they really didn't get rid of Harper because they still got to see Bryce Harper 247 times over the next 13 years. So they really didn't get rid of him. So he's still going to be a problem. He's still going to be problematic for the Nationals. Expect 247 pounds that they got to sing. I wonder how many times he's going to go yard against them. So that's what has the National fans not right now.
Yeah, I don't even want to think about that. Him and Scherzer, that's going to be interesting. That's going to be some pay-per-view type stuff right there. And them two going at it, Scherzer with his dominance and Bryce with his, wanting to be the man. That's going to be an interesting matchup in coming up this season. So it's definitely going to be something to watch in the NL East. And I want to go back to something that you mentioned before about watching the 9-inning baseball game. I used to feel the same way. I used to not be able to sit and watch a whole baseball game, but now, well, also because I have 3 TVs in the lab, I can have other games on and other stuff on. I can actually sit and watch a whole 9-inning baseball, even if it's 1-0, because I enjoy the whole nuance, the whole strategy, the pitcher versus the batter, trying to get through the lineup the second time, trying to get through the third time. And I love the chess match. That's the whole thing I love about sports. It's not just that it's physical. It's also the mental aspect of trying to out-coach or outthink the other team when they know your tendencies with all the analytics and all the stuff that's out there, and you still have to go out there and compete at a high level to win, even though they have all of this information on you.
The analytics play a major key in baseball. Obviously, the Athletics brought that into Major League Baseball, and now they have second spectrum and all the little numbers that have helped the managers put out what they put out there. So I definitely, and I can be honest with you, like, I think that sometimes I watch a 9-inning game just because I am a radio host, so because I need something to talk about the next day on the air. So I definitely, personally, have watched more baseball. I just think for the average fan that has to sit through 162 games, 9-inning ball from, April to October, that's asking a lot. Like, I'm not sure if Major League Baseball has thought about cutting it down, but I think the thing that kills me the most is if you do knock it down 162 games, what will that mean for all of the records that are set or the records that get broken in less than 162 games?
Well, I don't think they're going to change that. They're looking at other aspects. They were experimenting with the pitch clock in the spring training that gives a pitcher 20. It's like the 24-second shot clock, except for it's 20 seconds. They decided to scrap that. They were also experimenting with the what I've been an advocate for the longest time, the digital laser guided strike zone, where you basically get rid of the umpire and have the same technology they use on the play-by-play, where they show you if it's a strike or a ball. They have that capability to use that in the game, but all the so-called purists talk about it's tradition and you can't do that and you take the human aspect out of it. But in my opinion, the job is to get the call right. And when you get these umpires and guys that get that, you're trying to, show me up or yada yada, and throwing players out and getting into all, verbal altercations with players because they feel like they're getting shown up, that will take all of it out of it. And I really, they talk about it all the time on MLB Network. The difference between a 2-1 count or a 1-1 or a 1-2 is crucial in pitching. And when you have an umpire or, back there behind the plate, and he's having a mood and he decides to, he's going to shrink the strike zone, or he's more liberal to the inside corner than the outside corner. And pitchers know that you're not doing justice to the game because of, perspective or however that, however he's feeling that day. So they're making strides to try to speed it up, but they're still getting resistance from the so-called purists and traditionalists. And I don't think they'll ever shorten it from 162 because, like you said, that'll change the whole aspect of everything. And then I don't even know what that's like. The whole dominoes will fall in.
Yeah, for sure. I like the way that they brought in the pitch count last year. I definitely think that was a good idea. I just think that they should continue to find ways to improve
Oh yeah, they also implemented the reliever rule that they have to face at least 3 batters before they exit the game, so you don't have all of that interchange in one batter for one pitcher. Then you got another guy come in, got to warm up and go back at it again. I see Tim still on the line. He wants to chime in on some of this convo before we get out of here. You got anything? You got some more to add there, buddy?
Yeah, I'm gonna add. And see, I know that you two brothers wasn't living during these days. Y'all was just born a couple months ago. But we talk about relief pitches. I remember the game that Warren Spahn and Marichal went 16 innings.
Hey, yeah, you going you going back there.
San Francisco against Milwaukee Braves, and Aaron was playing on the Braves team, and Mays was playing with the Giants. 16th inning, Mays hit a home run for the Giants to win 1-0. It wasn't nothing for them guys to pitch 20 full 9-inning games back in those days.
That's one thing that amazes me about the pitcher anyway, because looking at they trained their spring training first, early, all the warm up pitches, all the foul balls, all that. I'm like, I wonder how many times they throw throughout a season, and how can they arm? You have some of these pitchers, go for 10, 15, 16 years. How does they arm, hold up to all of that wear and tear, all of that torque, all of that, the physics of it all? How do they maintain their body to stay at that peak major league performance and do what they do on a regular basis? It boggles my mind, honestly.
Sandy Koufax, his left arm was bigger than his right. And they will rub his body down with balm. You know what balm is, don't you?
Yeah.
The ornament that gets hot.
Uh-huh.
They rub his whole body down there, and they be playing in July weather.
Wow.
But the man was something else back in them days. I can only think that I came up through the time when I had the opportunity to see all those different great people. It's just amazing compared to what it is today. Now, my grandson weighs about 155 pounds, and he plays infield. He's a normal size compared. Mays was 175 pounds back in them days. Aaron was about 170. But there's a difference today. You got these Aaron Judges, and the biggest we had back then was probably a Boo Powell, who played for Minnesota, I believe he was. But Frank Howard. So it's a difference.
I guess I'm curious to ask is, back in the day, because you said we're talking about Mays and Koufax, did they throw as hard as the pitchers throw today? Because they're bigger and stronger today. And I would assume that the more torque on their arms would be the difference between those pitchers from back in the day to those pitchers right now. Because they have a heavier workload back in the day.
Yeah, they threw just as hard. Look at for the Houston Astros, you had J.R. Richards, the guy, the pitcher that had the stroke, Dwight Gooden. Then you had, those pitchers was throwing hard, and they had the stuff. So I don't know what I think they just like the quarterback is in football. How people say they overprotect them. Well, that's $100 million player out there on the field. And probably same thing, they feel the same thing with these pitchers too. Your pitching staff nowadays, I don't think is as strong as it was back when I was coming up. But they met. Look at Bob Gibson. I grew up in St. Louis. I used to ride the bus, then go as far as my money would take me, get off and walk from Washington to the ballpark, which was about another 12 blocks. And the only thing I could do is peek through the fences to see 24 on the back of Willie Mays' uniform, Gibson, a Marichal on the mound, and on either side of him was the Azul brothers, Jesus and Felipe.
Wow.
So
you just talking baseball history, right? You just talking some baseball history right there. Some great players that you were able to see come up. That's amazing.
Yeah, and my grandson practiced with Ozzie Smith. You know, he comes out and talks to him. Kurt Ford, who played with the Cardinals under Whitey Herzog, he practiced with Bernard Gilkey and Lonnie Macklin. Those are all Major League ball. Plus, there's a couple other. Bernard Gilkey just now started to take his pension. I think he gets like $1 million a year because he forego. Baseball has a good pension. After 34 games, you are qualified for at least $40,000 a year when you reach a retirement age per their standards.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's great. But that's some great insight. I appreciate you calling in, Tim. We definitely gonna keep your number.
I'm gonna leave you now. I gotta go to bed.
All right, I'm definitely gonna keep your number, and definitely we talk some more baseball. I'm definitely gonna make sure I hit you up to get you on, because you definitely have some great knowledge, and appreciate you taking the time and calling in, man. Appreciate that.
And I might be able to get some of those guys to call in on your show. Maybe Kurt might be able to get Ozzie to call in 1 or 2 times for you.
Oh yeah, we definitely going to talk offline, because we can get one of those Hall of Famers on here. That'd be great. But I appreciate it. I'll let you get to bed and get some rest, and you have a good night, sir.
See you later.
All right, take it easy. Hey, that was a great, first time caller, first time listener. It was great to have him on, and we got some great baseball knowledge there. Learn something new every day.
He took me way back. I'm talking about to the 50s and 60s, so gotta keep that number.
I already saved it in my phone, bro. I was saving it while he was talking. Like, yeah, I got to keep him around. He got some great knowledge and insight. But we got about 15 minutes left in the show, but we're going to go ahead and end it up now. Jason, let the folks know what you're working on, where they can find you at, and all the stuff. That's going to be like 5-10 minutes right there. Just let the folks know what you got going on and where they can find you at, man.
Well, we got Unfair Advantage going on. We got Jet Radio, working with True Radio as much as we can as possible. That's www.jetradio.live. We got Instagram. We got every social media platform that you guys can find us on. We got a new morning show coming, a new morning sports show coming. We're still going to do Unfair Advantage, but we're going to extend our sports knowledge at Jet Radio, because there's so many talented and gifted people out there who just don't have a platform. So we're definitely going to let these guys have that platform on Jet Radio. Like I said, we do Unfair Advantage. I do Unfair Advantage with JLegend every Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. You call in, you can talk. We talk all sports. We cover everything. We'll cover Tiger Woods' bad weekend all the way to Anderson Silva's old ass that shouldn't be fighting anymore. So we cover it all. We talk baseball, hockey. We cover it all. So you guys can find me on Jet Radio. You can find True Radio on Jet Radio too. So I mean, it's pretty cool. I love working with you guys, man. And Carol, I think that you're honestly one of the most underrated sports guys in the nation.
Oh wow, man! I appreciate that, brother. That's a hell of a compliment. I see what y'all doing out there in West Virginia, and we got some plans to be heading up that way, trying to get them finalized. And yes, we will be hopefully making a venture to West Virginia to have some fun and be a judge on a beautiful showcase. So yeah, as soon as you get those flyers ready, make sure you shoot them to us so we can put the word out and get some folks out there to come check out some of the artists you got out there in West Virginia.
No doubt, man. I appreciate it. I appreciate you having me on tonight. I really do.
All right, no problem, man. I got to return the favor and make sure I hit you up and get on your joint, too. So when I get some time, I'll make sure I'm going to try to either chime in on Facebook or call in. But I appreciate you taking the time, man. You have a good night, and we definitely going to talk some more, bro.
All right, man. Thanks for having me.
All right, man. Take it easy. Let's see. All right. I'm about to go ahead and end this Facebook Live feed right now. Appreciate everybody that tuned in, chimed in. As always, every Monday night, 7 to 9, Sports on the Hill podcast on True Radio Network. Every other Thursday from 9 to 10:30, talk boxing, MMA, baseball, football, hockey. We cover it all, so it doesn't even make a difference. You heard the man just got off Jet Radio. We syndicated 6 days a week on Jet Radio, not just Sports on the Hill podcast, True Talk, Qatar's Cafe, any and every show, the True Talk, the True Radio on WLVS Wednesday nights. And not to mention the Cheryl Underwood show we just picked up that will be syndicating her show starting Saturday at 8 o'clock. Matter of fact, I got to get ready to upload that on the board. So, yeah, tune in for Cheryl Underwood show Saturday at 8 o'clock. We get all of her shows. We can play them every day if we choose to, but we have such good content, we don't have to. We can play her when we choose to. But make sure you check us out, SportsOTHP.com, True Radio Network, Jet Radio, Beats by CP3, Sports OTHP Apparel and Accessories. We're everywhere. You're going to see us. You're going to hear us. Just follow the movement because it has begun. DC Sports About the Politics. It's not just a catchphrase. It's not just a motto. It's what we do.